Aw, shit. Here we go again. We're talking about this still? I thought if we fixed the maps, it was gonna be fine. I thought if we fixed the maps, it was gonna be fine, guys. That's what Scott Jun said. Scott Jun said if we just fixed the maps, we wouldn't talk about how bad the gen speeds were anymore. Well, how'd that work out? We're still talking about gen speeds, aren't we? Well, that's rough. When is this community going to realize that these fog whisperers and people close to fog whisper status, with the exception of true talent, of course, don't care about you? They don't care about you or relate to what you go through as the average killer. They don't care. They don't care about you, dude. Just be good. Just down everybody. It's easy. It doesn't matter that you have, like, maybe one actual window to pull it off. Maybe, if you're playing the right killer. Maybe. If you get lucky enough with the RNG spawning. If you get lucky enough with this, get lucky enough with that. Doesn't matter. Just do it. It's easy. What do you know, Killer Main? Stupid. Okay, so once again, people are talking about the gen speeds. I think that's, yeah, the whole gen rush debate is back. And here I thought this was an obvious answer, but I mean, when you have a 4-to-1 player base where 4 of the people are on the side of the gen rushers, it's very easy to like buy into this narrative that they feed you, because there's more people telling you that the gen rush isn't real than there are telling you that it is. And then when you factor in fog whisperers like Ohtofu making garbage videos that we're about to go over, and Scott Jun just vomiting his propaganda all over his channel, when you have all that, it's hard to tell who's really genuine in this community anymore. It's very sad. A lot of these people aren't genuine, and then the people that are genuine just get shat on like true. Just because, oh wow, anybody who says killer needs help and needs a massive buff in this game just gets shat on, right? That's how it works. You know, Oatsvara said that killers have a 65% kill ratio. Oh wow, well, who fed you that one? The devs? Oh wow, killers have a 65% kill ratio across all ranks. Do you guys know how piss poor rank 20s are? We're gonna just keep factoring low ranks into analysis, alright? Let's keep doing that. It's fine. It's fine. Nobody cares what's happening at top level. Nobody cares. Nobody fucking cares, dude. We're gonna keep talking about these gen speeds. Well, I just find it interesting that like everybody that like is talking about how these gen speeds are fine is like either a survivor main or a fog whisper level status. The devs don't promote you to fog whisper because of your channel and your content. They care about you having a platform. And if you get promoted to a fog whisper, I'm sure there's certain things you have to do. And I feel like the devs are looking for positivity more than criticism with that. And I just feel like it's not that Ohtofu's a survivor main that this is getting thrown out. It's because he's a fog whisper. Once these people hit fog whisper, they lose credibility to me. I don't understand how they don't lose it for you. These people getting promoted to fog whisper is always the worst thing that happens to them. But anyway, let's go over this video since I got about halfway through it my first viewing before I just decided that this had to be went over. Let's listen to what Ohtofu has to say about gen speeds in Dead by Daylight, ladies and gentlemen.
Yo, what's going on, guys? I wanted to take a video and try to tackle a very common thing that I hear discussed in Dead by Daylight, which is the gen speeds. Well, gen speeds is going to be the main topic, but we're going to be discussing gen speeds as well as your expectations for a match, as well as the pacing of general games. It's going to be a mix of quite a few topics. So we can start out by just answering the question, are gen speeds actually a problem? Do they go too fast? Well, spoiler alert, I think the answer is no. Now, before you dislike the video and go down to the comments and call me a survivor main and swear off anything I ever do or any opinion I ever have in the future, take a second to listen to my argument, and then you can do all that.
All right. So we got a denier here. It's fine. We always have deniers. Let's hear why. Let's hear this brilliant explanation.
Noticed is that I think most of the time that people complain about generator speeds, it usually comes from a bad perspective on the game.
That's right, guys. You have a bad perspective on the game. Stupid killer main. You have a bad perspective. Let's hear a good perspective on the game.
They don't really understand the pacing of the game, and they don't really have a good expectation of how games usually go. So allow me to give you a brief explanation.
That's right. That's right, Rank 1 Killer. You have a bad perspective of how games go. You have bad analysis. Let's hear some good analysis.
When a match of Dead by Daylight first starts out, the killer spawns and the 4 survivors are spawned throughout the match, and the killer is very far away from them.
Yeah.
At this point in time in the match, the killer has 0 pressure. Now, by pressure, we're going to be talking about how much the survivors have to stay off generators. That is generally what pressure is. The more pressure that is applied on the survivors, the less time that they can be on generators, and the more times they have to be doing other things.
See, guys, it's science.
If there's no pressure, then they all can be working on generators.
That's right, guys, it's science.
Pressure in this scenario is going to be strictly objectives and keeping them off of objectives. So at the very start of a game, you have no pressure. If all 4 survivors spawn right on top of a generator, they can all immediately start doing the objective, and you have nothing to stop them from doing it. They have no reason.
And if they all get on the same generator, that's poor gen efficiency, by the way.
Do anything else other than objectives. You don't even begin to apply pressure on the survivors until you at least find the first survivors and start to chase them. This is where you start, and this applies pressure to 1 survivor. So when you get into a chase with a survivor, the survivor that you're chasing is now pressured. They can't be doing a generator, because if they do, you'll kill them. But the other 3 survivors, however, they have no pressure. There's no reason for them to do anything other than the generators.
Alright, so let's go over that. You find the survivor, okay, pretend, if they're trash, you'll down them in 10 seconds, but, like, if they're really good, it's probably gonna take you, like, a minute and a half to actually get this guy, which means you just lost 2 gens.
Now,
which he's about to say, but
the fact that at the beginning of the game, all the pallets are still alive and the map still has every resource available, means that this is a very powerful time for survivors. This is a very, very strong time for the survivor team, and this is a very weak spot on the killer side. Now, as the match goes on, assuming you're playing killer well, you'll be applying pressure a lot. You'll be downing survivors, which applies pressure, because it means that the survivor is downed, can't do gens, because obviously they're either downed or hooked, and another survivor has to come off their generator to either pick them up off the ground or save them from the hook, which applies pressure to another survivor.
Yeah.
And also, you don't have to actively chase a guy anymore, which opens you up to chase a third, which that applies pressure to 3 people.
That's right.
Being the guy hooked, the guy going for the rescue, and the third guy who is now being chased. This can go even further if you can get snowball pressure, which is something I talk about in a lot of my videos.
That's right, Killer, Rank 1 Killer, you don't know what snowball pressure is.
And it's something I talk about with Killer in general, where you can snowball pressure and get, maybe multiple downs at the same time.
Do you see what I mean here? Like, a very, very early impression. We're talking to rank 10s right now. We're talking to rank 15 through rank 10s right now. Every red rank already knows this shit.
Time, maybe multiple hooks, or like a hook and a down at the same time. This applies pressure to the whole team. In the previous scenario, there was a 4th survivor who still had no pressure on him, who is free to work on gens the whole time that you're downing survivors, hooking them while they're getting unhooked. There's still a 4th guy who's able to do gens the entire time.
Mm-hmm.
If you can snowball pressure by downing multiple survivors quickly, then it applies pressure to all 4 survivors, because you can have...
This is just a very basic Killer overview of Dead by Daylight. Everybody that's red rank already knows this shit. So we're not even going over the real topic here.
Multiple survivors completely unable to move or do generators or do anything, and you can be chasing the third, meaning the 4th has to go for the saves. This is generally what you should aspire to do in every killer game, and this is something that isn't possible.
Well, thank you, Captain Obvious.
Mid-game. If you can get to this point as killer, it does not matter how many generators are done. They could literally have finished 4 out of the 5 generators, and if you can get to this point, you can close out a match completely without any more objectives getting done. So basically, what I'm trying to get at here is that in a general game of Dead by Daylight, in the beginning, the survivors are essentially all powerful, and the killer is at his very, very weakest point. As the match goes on, however, that starts to flip-flop. As the survivors start to lose resources, they start to use up pallets. As the killer starts to get downs and starts applying pressure and can maybe even build on that pressure and snowball it into even more pressure, then the game starts to flip-flop and become a lot more in the killer's favor. This is obviously assuming that the killer player is playing well and not going on like a 2 or 3 minute chase. Now, if you're somebody that understands this, if you know that this is the general pacing of a Dead by Daylight game, then you're generally not too concerned with losing a generator or two, or maybe even 3 in the early game.
Why would you not be? Why would you not be?
Hell, I have games all the time where I lose 2 or 3 generators before I even get my first down, that I still manage to turn around and turn into a 4K. Again, because you can flip the switch and snowball pressure at any point in the mid to late game if you're playing well. Losing generators early does not mean that the game is over. However, I have noticed that being a very, very common theme that I keep seeing. People talk about how it's impossible to stop generators from popping early, and how they lose a generator or 2 before they can even do anything about it. But the thing is that is okay. It is 100% okay for you to lose a generator or 2 before you even get it down as a killer, and you can still absolutely pull through and win the match. It is not over because of that. That is the killer's weakest time period. That is when they're their absolute weakest, and you could absolutely snowball map pressure and win the game at any point through good play. And I'm not even
okay, so let's go over that. The argument here is that first of all, it's a better argument than Scott Junn's. Jesus Christ, Scott Junn's was significantly worse than this. Scott Junn said that if you get one down, the game will naturally slow down enough. At least Ohtofu knows that you need to apply some slug/snowball to actually stop the survivors. So that's good. We're not on Scott Junn level of piss poor here. That's a good start. However, the only issue with this is who are we talking about here? Are we talking about casual solo queue scrubs that can just get downed? Because the only argument I'm hearing is in English is bruh, just down them. That's basically what that means. He's just saying bruh, just down them. Okay. You want to tell me how you're supposed to down them at a long wall jungle gym in like 2 seconds? As who's like not bad but not that great either. Demo, sure, their demo's perfect. You know, how are you supposed to down them at a long wall jungle gym with the Demogorgon in like a significant amount of time? Okay, here's a big problem with snowball. Alright, with the slug argument. The slug argument is like, oh, what, you're to slug one guy? Okay, that doesn't actually do anything, because you have one guy on the ground who can't do anything, sure, but like if they're on comms, like they can 99 up themselves. No one else on the map is provided you don't know where everyone is and you're going for just a slug game for some reason. You're not going to pick the guy up and hook him. Maybe he has DS. You don't know where anybody else is somehow because you went for a tunnel and they got away and then you slug them. And then the other guy left and you don't know where he is because maybe you were playing, I don't know, Ghostface or something. Maybe you were playing Ghostface and you slugged the guy, but they like juked you enough to where the other guy went away. So we're already talking about a situational topic here anyway, but beside the point. You're slugging somebody for some reason and you have no idea where another person is. Okay? If they're grouped together, this isn't that. If they're grouped together, like he already said, this is the mid game. Okay, let's talk about what's optimal for survivors to do in the mid game. He's already talking about unoptimal survivor play here, because okay, here's the survivor. Here. If anyone doesn't know this yet, let's talk about how you gen rush a fucking killer. Okay, you spawn in. There's nothing stopping you from touching gens if the killer's not using corruption, which I mean. Why are you not using corrupt intervention? But okay, you're not using corruption, which he brings that up in a second. But like, even so, pretend the killer got a bad one, or you walked 4 feet and there's a gen right there. You just walk 4 feet first. Now, granted, the killer can help. Corruption does help. Corrupt intervention is a very, very, very good perk, but it still doesn't save you from getting early advantage. But that because if people can stealth it out, there's options they have against it. But assuming no corrupt intervention for this scenario. We're talking about how to gen rush a killer, right, under basic circumstances. You can cut down a generator speed from 80 seconds to 46 with 2 people on a generator. Alright? Does everyone understand this yet? 46. You can cut the time in half, essentially. because the time took a whopping puny 2-second nerf. Alright? So at the beginning of the game, when the killer has no idea where the fuck you are, you slam a generator together, at least one. Well, like, the ideal scenario for these survivors is that there's 2 of them on one, and 1 of them on a different one, alright, while you're chasing one guy. That way, when the first down pops, 2 are already done. Well, what, like, you put the killer down somebody like 50 seconds, 1's already done, he has to go pick him up, and then the second one pops, because it takes a little bit longer with the one guy. So that, your killer's got his first hook, there's 2, okay? Survivor's next play, after they completed these initial gens, is to spread the fuck out! They spread out and tackle the map separately after this. How the fuck you getting slug pressure on a group that is optimized and spread out? How you doing that? Oh, be everywhere! Down everybody! Death Slinger! Get over there! Move at 110! Down everybody! Just do it! How hard is it, bruh? So you have one hook, only half their team is now pressured. You one hook, fine. You have barbecue chili. You walk over, pressure somebody else. You're losing they've already spread out. You're already leaving gen time on the table here. You have to walk over there as 110 shit slinger. Okay, takes you about 15 seconds. That's almost a fourth of the generator, a fourth of a gen right there. Okay, you see what I'm rolling with this yet? They're spreading the hell out. They're becoming efficient by being separated. If they're grouping mid-game, that's not optimal play. You can't just say gen times aren't too fast because you can punish bad survivors that are staying grouped mid-game. What are you going to do, camp the hook? You gotta do that? Is that how you're gonna find survivors being grouped together? By patrolling the hook? Oh yeah, you know how you counter that? Hey guys, he's proxy camping me. He's proxy camping me. Just slam the gens, guys. He's proxy camping me. This isn't that hard, people. This isn't hard to understand. The concept of a comm kills this game. He's kind of proxy camping, guys. He's kind of heading your way, but he's kind of not. If you come get me now, he's gonna come right back. Just make sure you get me right before stage 2. So slam another one and then get back, and then maybe he'll try to slug, but you have borrowed time, so he's gonna have to take 2 hits to do that. And then he's gonna go after. Like, do you see what we're saying here? They only come together in the mid game when they need to, and the most reliable points for you to intercept them will cut down your, which is being the hooks, cut down your map pressure. Because you have to stay in one area. So like a coordinated SWF that says, okay guys, he's proxy camping. He's proxy camping me. They'll just slam the gens. And he's like, oh, why are you proxy camping? Okay, go out. Then the guy's a free save, and they're not together, so you can't get slug pressure. You see why slugging is like snowball's a weak argument? Because if you're playing against optimal team, they're not letting you do this. This don't work. Anything works against trash teams. Anything works against like trash teams that don't know how to play. Super weak. Super weak. I guess my perspective's just bad, right? How many times are we gonna get hit with that one? People telling me you're entitled. Just makes me sick to my stomach how easy that was to deal with. And that's not even the worst argument I've ever heard in my life, because he's not wrong. If the killer does get enough snowball, he can't shut the game down. I'm not gonna ever pretend the role is that weak. And like, yes, with all the god loops gone and the maps being a little bit weaker, killer's objectively stronger than it's been in a while. And especially if you have ruin, you can really secure that. I have some more things I want to say, but like that's one of the very big arguments against this. Is just that the fact that if you're playing an optimal group, they're gonna spread the fuck out. They're going to spread the fuck out, and the times where you're going to interact with survivors together is going to be extremely limited, especially when they're on comms, and they're going to say, okay, don't bring him over here. The injured teammate and I are working on the generator, so the guy that's getting chased is going to go, okay, I won't do that. I'll take him somewhere else. It's very, there's so many problems with this. So many problems. Okay, let's keep moving here. We gotta pick up the pace a little bit.
Taking into consideration the perk Corrupt Intervention as well, which if you don't know is a perk that blocks the 3 furthest generators from you for the first 2 minutes of the match. So this perk essentially just is there to prevent the generators from popping before you can do anything about it. So you can even slap
very niche. I mean, it's very good, but like it can fail. It's not invincible.
On this perk and even prevent that early game gen from getting done if you'd like. However, the obvious trade-off here is that you lose a perk for the mid to late game, which might help you get into that snowball situation where you win the game all at once. Okay, so moving on from the whole pacing topic, let's talk about something else, and that is expectations as far as getting kills as a killer. It seems to me lately that a lot of people are judging themselves, basically considering games to be losses if they don't kill all 4 survivors. I think this is like a huge fundamental flaw in people's thinking about the game that really makes their opinion on the balance of the game kind of skewed. If you're playing killer against 4 survivors that play extremely well, and you manage to kill 2 out of 4 of them, even if the 2 kills happen at the very end of the game, if you manage to kill 2 out of 4 of them, that is very good. That is a very...
That's right, killers. You're just skewed. If you're tying, be satisfied. Which, I mean, to be fair, that's an argument I have as well. Be satisfied with the tie. There's nothing you can do about it. But when your argument against the gen rush is that argument works is if you're a good or bad killer or not. That's what that argument works for. It's like, wow, dude, you tied 4-man SWF. You're a fucking god. That works in that context. In this context, this doesn't work. Because this is about gen speeds and balance of the game. That's what this is about. And the balance of the game is you just fucking tied. I don't strive for mediocrity. I don't strive for ties. I don't want to tie. I don't want this role to be in a state where, wow, you tied. That's cool. That's good. Very good job. You tied them. Like, what the hell is this? What the hell is that mentality? I really don't get this. People using this argument from a perspective of balance. This argument is only a good one when you're from the perspective of who is a good or bad killer. That's the only time this works. Anything other than that, this doesn't work. The balance of the game is you shouldn't view. This argument is saying that you tied them, so that's good. You should feel good about yourself. But gen speeds don't need fixed because of that. What? Where is he getting this from? What? If anything, that tells you. If anything, that tells you there's a fundamental balance problem with this game. Basically, that's that's saying like if you're a little Mac player and you're facing a fucking Palutena in Smash Ultimate, that you should feel proud if you took 2 stocks. You lost the match, bruh. I mean, yeah, you took 2 stocks against a Palutena. That's pretty good. Good job, and it's incredible. Nice work. You had no chance to win that game. Your character still needs massive fundamental help. And maybe if you got that help, you could do better. Your character still needs a rework, but you are okay. The balance, your idea of the balance isn't skewed there at all. I don't know, like, my idea of the balance isn't skewed because of that mentality at all. Like, what? You have to, where's he getting that from?
Good result. You got essentially a draw with a team that is very, very good. Unfortunately, though, I cannot tell you how many times I've seen a situation like this happen where the killer player then chalks it up as a loss and says that they didn't do well and that the survivors completely rolled them.
Well, they did.
That is a very good game. I would even go as far as to make the argument that in a game like this where it's a 4v1, where there's a team of 4 survivors that have to work together, if the game was balanced in a way where the killer would 4K every single time regardless of how well the survivors played, would that even be good balance? What would even be the point of playing the 4 if even if you played perfectly, it doesn't matter because the killer kills you every time?
Okay, but what's the point of right now? What's the point of right now where it's like, if the survivors are playing perfectly, then I can't win? What's the point of that? Because I think we all know this game is in a state right now. If the survivors are playing perfectly, you had no fucking chance, right? So what's the point of playing the 1? All we do is capitalize on their mistakes. That's all we do. Unless, of course, you're playing fucking Freddy or Pyramid Head or something, or killers that can actually fucking do something, like Freddy, Pyramid Head, Doctor, Nurse, Spirit, all that. But those are the boring characters, right? I forgot about that. Those characters are boring, and I'm demonized for even touching them. But that's a different subject. So right, so like, what's the point? Like, what's the point of playing the 4? Okay, well, if you're gonna say that, what's the point of playing the 1 right now, at high level? where I'm at their mercy every single time. If they make mistakes, I get to win. If they don't make mistakes, I lose every time. Why can't this game be balanced for a true two-man escape, two-kill state? Why? Why can't we look at high level and balance off high level? What's happening versus four-man Swift? That would encourage people to do four-man Swift, and then we can get squads together and do competitive. Like, what? Like, how is this a bad idea? Never mind.
To me, I feel like if both sides play perfectly, if the survivors somehow play 100% perfect as a team, and the killer somehow plays 100% perfect as a killer, the ideal result should be around the 2-kill.
Yes.
With that ideology in mind, it means that getting a 2-kill means that you performed well. You went into a game that was balanced, where the other team was good, and you also played well enough to, make it...
But here's the thing. Here's where we differ. I believe four-man SWF has no chance of losing. Four-man optimal SWF was 100% guaranteed to beat you every single time. Every single time. And if you are winning, if you're getting 2, that is not optimal. That four-man SWF was not optimal and made mistakes. And I'm yet to see a game that proves that mentality wrong. Every game, my own, and all the streamers I watch, every time a killer wins, the survivors fucked up. They could have done something else. There was not the execution of the killer. The survivors fucked up.
Good close match. On top of that, there's also nothing wrong with just having a rough match every once in a while.
Well, yeah.
Even the very best players in any game ever will sometimes have bad games where they don't perform well, and they sometimes will lose games that they could have won just because they didn't play very good. To me,
I agree.
I think that a lot of these things that I'm saying in this video might sound kind of obvious from an outside perspective, but I think it's really hard to get a good grasp for this in Dead by Daylight just because this game can be so incredibly frustrating at times.
That actually wasn't me. Bruh. And I'll say one thing though. Another argument against his slug.
As a killer, when you're going against survivors where it feels like you're playing well and you just can't stop the gens from getting done, and then you barely manage to squeeze out a kill or 2 at the very end of the game, it doesn't feel great. It doesn't feel like you won or that you played well. But at the same time, that is a good match. You did play well. If the survivors are playing hyper efficient and they're playing very, very well, that's how the game is most likely going to go. They're most likely going to get all the gens done, and you're most likely not going to be able to stop that. And being able to get a kill or 2 is still very, very good.
But the
frustration of
what?
And
how am I not right then, bro? He literally agrees with me. He literally agrees with me, dude. He knows. So if this guy's admitting that you can't win there, why can't you win? What's going too fast? The objective. And why is the objective going too fast? Because what he's proposing here is not a solution to stopping the gen rush. And here's another thing. Unbreakable. Like I was about to say this earlier. If SWF has Unbreakable, which they always bring if they're smart, if a survivor's slugged, that's not real pressure because they can get back up, and any good SWF knows that. So that's not real pressure. That doesn't pressure any other survivor. That slug doesn't do anything for you. Stay on the gens. Ridiculous.
Game definitely does affect people's perspective on things, and I think that's where a lot of these mindsets come from. Even with all that in mind though, let's go back to the original question of are gen speeds an issue? So there's 2 major things that increasing gen speeds would affect, and that is first off the balance of the game, and then second off the overall just fun of playing the game.
Oh my god, it's this argument again.
This would literally hurt both.
Okay, we're going to Scott Junt here now.
As far as the
I've already dealt with
I
this.
feel like this probably speaks for itself. As a survivor, some of the most boring gameplay is when you're just doing generators, you're just sitting there holding M1. Sure, you get skill checks every once in a while, but it's not very exciting gameplay. So making you do that for even longer doesn't really sound like it's making the game very much more fun. That's pretty obvious, though. But I think in terms,
I mean, okay, fine, whatever. We're getting an early game mechanic that's gonna hopefully deal with this. So whatever, fine. Jesus, who cares? I still think that I still think S2-man needs another 10-second nerf, but that's beside the point. Take it up from 46 to 56. Still an effective buff, still worth it, but not as oppressive.
I think the game is actually fairly balanced right now.
Jesus
The
Christ.
most recent kill rates that behavior has released, although this was a little while ago, but I don't really think the game has gone through any overwhelming changes. If anything, the game may have gotten better changes for killers with map changes and stuff that have happened. So I don't think these kill rates are going to be that far off, although they are kind of old. But you can see that every single killer hovers around in between 2 to really closer to 3 kills per game. And that's across all ranks. And at red ranks, where the games are supposed to be harder, the killers are actually higher in kill rates. And they're way more average, around 3 kills. And again,
Okay, there you go.
and this is something I touched base on earlier videos, but I think I could just discuss it again.
Weakest clown, okay.
I think a big reason that this all happens, the reason why the kill rates are so high, however killer players are still getting frustrated all the time, is because I think it's very frustrating to play against a really good team.
There you go.
Most of your games you're winning.
Mm-hmm. There it is.
The one off game you get where you go against really good survivors that make you feel totally helpless as a killer, it takes its toll on your psyche.
It's not that they make you feel helpless, it's that you are helpless. It's what I call the true balance of the game that statistics can't tell you. Let's deal with the statistics now. Those are a little harder to deal with. Like, the true balance of the game is the 4-man Swift, because that is when the survivors are being most optimally played. If you're not talking about 4-man Swift, you're not talking about the survivor role at its highest possible potential. So anything below 4-man Swift, not optimal and not worth talking about, in my opinion. Like, wow, you punished the guy who fucked up the pallet drop. Anybody can do that! It's with the true balance of the game. When the true balance of the game gets revealed to you through a game like that, or maybe even 2 or 3 in a row, when the true balance of the game gets revealed to you, it takes its toll on you. It does. Because you know that they have to make adjustments. And one of the biggest problems is, since we don't balance around this 4-man Swift thing, and people don't join the 4-man Swifts, when we don't have a competitive scene, you never see survivors get played optimally. If we're having a competitive scene, would open the eyes to the survivors being played optimally, because it would allow 4-man SWF to get in there and show what they can really do. But since we don't have a competitive scene, you don't ever see that except when you have to deal with it here. But when you deal with it here, you're going to lose every time, and everyone's just going to be, oh, baby. You see what I mean? This could all be chalked up to the lack of a competitive scene, lack of true MMR, lack of bad balancing. Lack of bad balancing. Lack of good balancing. If they released MMR and we got a competitive scene going, that would change real fast. This rank shit doesn't matter. I thought we went over this, though. I thought we all universally agreed that this crap doesn't matter, so why are we talking about it here? Which, to be fair, I said at the beginning that red ranks, but you know what I mean. I think it's a universally agreed concept that this doesn't mean very much.
Those are the games that you remember much more than the games where you perform well.
Mm-hmm.
But you have to keep in mind that they exist, because if you're trying to call for changes like higher generator times, then all those games where you do already perform well, the survivors that are already getting beat are going to have even less of a chance. And
Great for them. Get better. Form a squad. Join the competitive scene. Get good.
It would be absolutely miserable for them. And keep in mind, again, that these are most games. This is how most games go. You can see by the kill rates that most games, the killers perform well. So you can't really balance around the very minor % games where the survivors are extremely good, even though I think in those games, a lot of the times, killers really are too hard on themselves for how they perform. You shouldn't be expected to be able to 4-kill in those games, and it definitely shouldn't be balanced around that either, because then all the rest of the games would be absolutely miserable. I think overall the idea of making gens take longer is just bad on all fronts. I don't think it will help the balance, and it'll definitely make the game a lot more boring as well. Although I do definitely see the point of view where killers definitely could use some help against higher tier survivors. But I don't think it should come in the form of longer generators. It's very proven based on the games where you can apply pressure as a killer, that the gen speeds are fine. Assuming that you can apply pressure to the survivors in a decent way, you're usually able to get kills, and most games go pretty well. So if there is a glaring issue here where killers are struggling against the top tier survivors, I don't think the solution should be just making the survivors take longer to do generators. I think changes need to be made so that killer players can get pressure easier. I actually
like an early game slowdown mechanic. Come on, behavior, we need this.
I made an entire video on this where I talk about maps, because I think the biggest issue with this is maps.
Jesus.
And it's between like their size as well as how strong the pallets are.
Scatjun,
I'll make sure to leave a link to that video below.
Okay, so basically, here we go, boys. This is how a universally flawed topic. We didn't really fix the maps. We didn't really fix the maps when we fixed them. I mean, to be fair, you didn't fix a lot of them, but like we didn't really fix the maps. So if they fix the maps again, are we just gonna keep saying that that's the problem? An early game slowdown mechanic is what this game needs, because you can't rely on the slug pressure, you can't rely on basic killer slowdown, or just fucking make a base regression, make base regression better. We have a lot of solutions besides making gens take longer. The point is that my point about this is the gen rush is very real, and it needs to be addressed in some way, shape, or form. Do you know what I mean? If you want to fix it a different way, this problem needs fixed. I've stopped caring about the solution a long time ago. It's the fucking deniers that I cannot stand. And I will continue to hate on this entire time. I think that's it, boys. I'm out of here.